is CNN.
Our approach is dramatically less expensive. It will have less of an impact on the tax burden and the deficit, and it will lead to more economic growth and more jobs than the Clinton plan.
Live from Washington, Crossfire. On the left, Mike Kinsley. On the right, John Sununu. Tonight, a second opinion. In the Crossfire, Senator John Chafee of Rhode Island, chairman of the Republican Health Care Task Force, and Democratic Senator Tom Daschle of South Dakota.
Good evening. Welcome to Crossfire. Now that the PLO and the Israelis have started to work out a solution to some of the easy issues, such as Middle East peace, the U.S. can turn its attention to really tough problems like health care. The president unveils his plan to Congress next week. Republicans in the House and in the Senate launched their own plans today. Their plans differ fundamentally with the Clinton proposal in that they do not force businesses to pay the bulk of the bill. It'll be a long, hard, and certainly confusing debate. With luck, the debate will help us all understand what can and can't be done and what it costs to do and deal with each of the pieces of the puzzle. So let the games begin. Mike?
Senator Chafee, you're the main author of the Senate Republican version of health care reform. Let me ask you a question about your plan. Your plan limits the tax deductibility of employer-paid health insurance. For millions of Americans, isn't that a tax increase?
No, I don't think so. First of all, I think let's get back to what we're trying to do here, Michael. What we're trying to do is to provide coverage for everybody in the United States of America. We're trying to see that the quality of the health care in the United States remains as it is, and we're trying to make certain that the costs come down. And in our program, we have a basic benefit package. We take the average cost of the three lowest of these plans that are presented to the purchasing groups, and that sets the standard, if you would, cost-wise. And above that, we don't think that the taxpayers should be subsidizing those who choose gold-plated plans. And the statistics clearly show that the gold-plated plans are chosen by the wealthiest in our society.
That's
and the
fine.
savings from that go to provide coverage for the lower-income people.
I actually agree with you about that, but I just want to clarify there's going to be a lot of rhetoric being thrown around. We've already heard rhetoric from Republicans about how they hate tax increases. Bill Clinton loves tax increases. This is a tax increase that's in your plan that is not in Clinton's plan, or at least it's much smaller in
I'm not
Clinton's
prepared to call it a tax increase.
How is it not a tax increase if you take away a deduction from someone?
Well, what we're saying is that in these gold-plated plans, they're no longer going to have the subsidy that is provided by the taxpayer.
Millions of unionized workers who have the most generous plans, UAW plan and so on and so forth, are going to be paying more income tax as a result of your plan if it goes through.
Not necessarily. It may well be that they would choose the package that is the standard package.
Well, then they'll have less health. They'll either have less health insurance or they'll pay more taxes, right?
They could have the same amount.
I think they'll find it's a generous package.
Senator Daschle, let me talk about one other distinct difference between the Chafee plan and the Republican Senate plan and President Clinton's plan. President Clinton's plan has a mandate on businesses, and it's a particularly expensive mandate on small businesses. After we've gone through the last tax bill, which imposed additional taxes on small businesses, when are the Democrats going to understand that small businesses can't keep carrying that extra load?
John, this isn't an expensive mandate, first of all, and secondly, this isn't different necessarily from what John Chafee and his colleagues presented today. They talked about a mandate, too. The difference is they say it ought to be on individuals. We say there ought to be a partnership between the employees and the employer, just as there is today. What we really want to do is consolidate the mandates. You'd be amazed at how much businessmen are mandated today to deal with health care.
Oh, I'm not amazed. I've seen what you guys have passed.
Given your question, you must be amazed because
you're just adding to that load of mandates. Why is adding to that load supposed to be wonderful?
We're consolidating the mandates. We're bringing the number down. We're going to blend in the workers' compensation portion of health insurance. We're going to blend in the disability insurance portion of health insurance. We've seen already what Hawaii does. They've had a program for the last 20 years requiring participation by both employers and employees, and it's been a bonanza. It has worked extremely well.
Why then doesn't the business community see things your way?
Well, you'd be interested. I'm not so sure they don't in some cases.
Oh,
I've seen a number of business
what they've been
organizations
sending
that have
out.
already indicated
Actually,
they
there are
support.
stories
I've
in the
seen
paper
what they've
all
been
the time
sending out.
about how many businesses do support
The
this
small
plan.
business community is up in arms.
Listen, when
Not
I
all of
show
them.
my small businessmen what they're paying now versus what they're going to pay under this plan, like John Chafee, what we're saying is that there ought to be some responsibility here. That we can no longer provide the free lunch that I hear you and many others talk about so frequently. There's got to be shared
let me
responsibility.
ask
Senator
John
Chafee's plan, I understand Senator Chafee's plan has a lot of the features that are included in the administration plan.
There is a tremendous
Why not
amount of
accept the
similarity.
Chafee plan, which has no taxes
Well,
added
we're
to
saying
it?
everything's on the table. We're not going to say that any one of the provisions that John talked about today or that we've talked about or will continue to talk about is non-negotiable. We think there has to be compromise. We understand that, and I think they've come a long way with what they've done today to articulate the same goals that we've been talking about for some time.
Let me ask Senator Chafee the $600 billion question. You don't want businesses to have to pay to cover the people who aren't insured now. Where is the money going to come? You say you're going to pay for it with federal vouchers. Where is all that hundreds of billions of dollars of money going to come from?
Well, whether you call $220 billion, which is the eventual cost when the total coverage is in there, hundreds of billions of dollars, I don't know. But let me just say, this, that you notice that when we presented our plan today, we were very careful to say that we're going to extend the coverage to the low-income people as we affect the savings in the plan. In other words, this is a pay-as-you-go proposition. We want to feel our way along. We're not saying not going to start right off by saying we're going to cover everybody up to 240% of the poverty level.
Where ultimately are you going to get the money? There are people who don't have health insurance now. You're saying the federal government will give them vouchers to help them pay for health insurance. $220 billion. Where is it going to come from?
That $220 billion is the figure if we get everybody covered. But as I say, we're going to move along cautiously. For example, one of the payments that currently exist under the current system in our U.S. government is what they call disproportionate share. They pay hospitals an extra amount because they have so many people in those hospitals that can't pay. That's coverage for the poor, as it were. That money will be saved as we're covering the poor through the vouchers.
Yeah, but the problem is, Bill Clinton also, his plan, looks at all these potential savings from sensible health care reform, the kinds of things you both do, and he spends that money in his plan. Your plan, he says, in addition, we have to put this burden on employers. You're saying we don't have to put that burden on employers. Then you've got to come up with more money than he's come up with. Where are you going to come up with it?
No, I don't think under our plan, as you know, there's a mandate on the individual. Those individuals that in the area that can pay for it have got to pay for it. Individuals now, for example, carry compulsory automobile insurance. That's a requirement on an individual in many states. So it will be in this program. However, what I anticipate is that as we're able to bring down the cost of this insurance, and we're absolutely certain we can, that you're going to find businesses choose, in many instances, to pay a portion, maybe not 100%, maybe not 80%, but a far more of them will be helping toward paying for the employees.
Why won't they do exactly the opposite, Senator?
No.
Because right now, they know if they don't cover their employees won't have health insurance. Now you're saying the government will guarantee there's health insurance for these employees if they can't afford to pay for it themselves. Why won't employers just drop it if they're not required to carry it?
Employers currently pay for the insurance for many employees because they think it's good business. They think it's a way to attract good employees.
But
and
if you're going to guarantee everybody health insurance
there's no reason in the world for an employer to drop his health insurance, particularly when the cost is going to be less, under our program. The individual, they want to attract good employees, and they're going to continue to do that.
Let me pursue the concept of compromise that you addressed a few moments ago. There's really 4 plans out there, at least right now. Certainly the House Republican plan is different from the House Senate plan. And then there's the Conservative Democrat plan, the Conservative Democratic Forum. If you look at the arithmetic, the coalition that seems closest and ready to come together are the Republicans and the Conservative Democratic Forum. Will you folks be upset if the Republicans and the Conservative Democrats come together with a majority in the House and Senate and are able to present a plan to the President that he could sign?
John, I don't know how all of this is going to come together at this point. You've forgotten one major group out there, and that's the single-payer advocates on both sides. So what I see is that you've got the conservatives, you've got the liberals, and then you've got the moderates in the middle. I think the Clinton plan is a moderate plan. I think the Chafee plan is a moderate plan. I think there's a lot of similarity between those two plans that give us the basis for a lot of work together. We're going to do that. When it comes to security, I think that's the fundamental question. And I don't think whether you're conservative or liberal, the question is, can we provide health care that's always there? Can we ensure that we can tell every American, you're never going to lose your health insurance again? And if we can't do that, why can't we?
Let me
I think that
backtrack to a
John
fundamental
Chafee's plan
question.
and the Clinton plan both recognize that fundamental principle of security, telling people that health care is always there.
Let me go back to the most fundamental question. Are there not Americans for whom health insurance is a bad bet, and that they are better off paying out of pocket than being burdened with $3,000, $4,000, or $6,000 worth of insurance?
Bet catastrophic illness.
A lot of folks do that today,
well,
and a lot of folks feel that's the right decision.
But all these plans,
and they feel that's the right decision.
John, all these
I'm just asking the fundamental
all
question.
these plans require them to buy health insurance.
I just want to know, I want to understand the fundamental issue.
You're arguing against insurance?
There are some folks for whom it is an appropriate decision
we're not
to
all
be
rich
not
like
insured.
you are. We all don't have your money.
It's
and if
actually,
we don't have your money, and if we go into the hospital
it's actually younger folks who are not rich who make that bet.
I pity a young couple that takes the chance on not having health insurance today. I got to tell you, that's why 1 in 5 people have job lock in this country, John. They don't want to leave their
they
work
can buy the
because
catastrophic component very cheap.
Tell them that. Tell them if they have diabetes whether they can do it or not.
Hold on. For those of you who do want to have health insurance, stay tuned and we'll pursue whether John Chafee's got a real solution or just a lot of nonsense in just a moment.
So how do you feel about those automotive tests? Well, when Oldsmobile tested the 80, we hired an independent third party to do it. That way, when we announce the results, at least you'll know they're legit. Well, let's put it this way. Obviously, we did pretty well, or we wouldn't have brought it up. It's your money.
Covered under our old plan.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Things are changing, and not all for the better. The government may force us to pick from a few healthcare plans designed by government bureaucrats.
Having choices we don't like is no choice at all.
Yeah, they choose.
And we lose.
For reforms that protect what we have, call toll-free. Know the facts. If we let the government choose, we lose. Call today.
I think if I had a good agent, I think the house would have been sold by now. The particular agent that I had, he didn't show the house. I don't think he really showed it to one person. I really do need to sell this house, okay? And really just kind of get on with my life. That's the kind of help I need. A really good agent, if I can find one.
Every broker offers something different. But now, Oldie Discount offers an industry breakthrough, commission-free trading. It's called Smart Trade. With Smart Trade, if you trade 1,000 shares or more, you pay absolutely no commission. None. Zero. So while others promise the world, Oldie offers you something more down to earth. No commission. Oldie, America's full-service discount broker. Why trade with anyone else?
Hello, I'm Susan Rook. At the top of the hour, police in Florida scramble to find the killers of a tourist from overseas as officials try to deal with all the bad publicity. Also, we'll have details on a huge fire at a Florida distillery and what happened to the people who were evacuated. And we'll have the latest on the investigation of allegations against Michael Jackson. It's all in Prime News after Crossfire.
It seems man has invented an instrument to measure everything with great precision. except perhaps the performance of mutual funds. To that end, T. Rowe Price suggests a different way of thinking, a performance measure that says you can achieve attractive returns without unacceptable risk. Call for this free booklet and find out why so many of our funds have earned Morningstar's best ratings. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
Recently, we invited Mazda, Acura, Porsche, all car companies to compare their sports cars with our new Firebird formula to see who can match our standard driver and passenger airbags, standard anti-lock brakes, and 275 horsepower engine, and do it for even twice the price of this new Firebird. No one could. No one. This is the new standard for sports car safety, performance, and value.
Hotel Views goes on location to see if Holiday Inn could beat Ramada for value. Gene?
Last night, we asked some people what brought them to Ramada.
A weekend getaway.
Mr. Thomas?
Why at Ramada?
Because at $39 a night, it's a great deal.
Excellent. Bob?
Thanks, Jane. Now let's really talk value. Here comes someone.
Hey, Val, which way to the interstate?
Don't ask him if I can use a bathroom.
Oh, no cameras, no cameras there.
For special value, Ramada's in. Holidays out.
Tonight, meet a woman who lost custody of her son because she's a lesbian. The boy's been awarded to his grandmother. Is it fair? Sex lives and parenting. Tonight on Larry King Live, 9 Eastern on CNN.
We do not mandate employers to pay for health care. We do not create mandatory health alliances that are monopolies. We do not create global budgets through the use of premium caps. We do not create a variety of new costly benefits and new entitlement programs.
Welcome back to Crossfire. We're talking health care reform. President Clinton doesn't officially serve up his plan until next week. So today, the Republicans scooped him with count them, two different plans of their own, one from the Senate and one from the House. We're talking with Senator John Chafee, Republican of Rhode Island, who is principal author of the Republican Senate plan, and it's not nonsense, and I don't care who says so, Senator. And Senator Tom Daschle, Democrat of South Dakota, who thinks the Clinton plan beats both Republican versions. John?
Senator Daschle, for a long time, President Clinton was promising a managed care-based plan, a competition-based plan, and the plan has leaked out now, does not fit that description. Where did he decide to abandon that commitment?
Oh, John, this really does include competition. I tell you, this is going to create the fiercest competition because you've got a limit on dollars and you've got the maximum degree of participation at the state level. If that isn't competition, I don't know what is.
The patron saints of that program, including Alan Einthoven and the folks at Jackson Hole, who were strong pushers and strong promoters of this concept, don't seem to feel that the Clinton plan fits the criteria they set up.
Well, I'm not sure that they're the gurus on defining managed competition per se, but they have been very complimentary. That was going to be my point. They've
but
been
it doesn't fit their definition of what a managed care competition-based program would be.
As I said, everything is on the table, and if we can come up with a better definition, we're prepared to do so. We want to work with them, with the Republicans. We want to come up with an answer here, and managed competition, I think, is agreed upon as one of the major consequences of this.
Let's go to some of the principles of the plan. It has a regional-based structure, right?
That's right.
It is conceivable then that New York City, which is a very large region in its own right, would be one of those regional areas. The idea then would be to have the New York City bureaucracy be the manager of health for 12 million Americans?
No, not at all. All we're doing in that regional alliance is pooling the resources, much like we do in so many things.
Who would manage the structure?
The health plans themselves manage the structure. They're the ones in the business. They're the ones who have the ability to work with the doctors and the hospitals and the patients. So that's really where the services are provided.
No government participation at the regional level.
Obviously, you'll never get rid of government participation, and nor should you. I think there's going to be an overlay of regulation, but the nice thing is, John, something you've advocated for a long time, it's going to be at the state level for a change. You're not going to have the federal massive bureaucracy and involvement that you've seen through Medicare and Medicaid.
Senator Chafee, there are a lot of cost control elements in the Clinton plan that you guys don't like, you and Senator Dole, this global budgeting and so on and so forth. But what is there in your plan to control costs that the Clinton plan doesn't have? I don't see anything.
Well, in the Clinton plan, the principal controller of costs they have is that the central federal governmental board will set the insurance rates that can be charged in every single one of the purchasing alliances throughout the nation. And we very strongly disagree with that. Yes, they will say what the insurance companies can charge for the programs that are set up.
Not a dollar amount. All they do is set a percentage of
the question, Senator, is
premium.
what do you have that is better than that? That is, you have some cost control things that they do have. What do you have that they don't have that will control costs and make up for this?
What we
stuff
very
you don't
strongly
like?
believe, Michael, is that we provide for the competition between the plans that are presented. Let me
So
just
does
go.
Clinton.
No, Clinton doesn't. Clinton provides for this national board to set the insurance premiums that can be charged.
It's a maximum. They can still compete.
No, but once
we do
you
set there is competition.
let me just finish here.
Who's going to compete with the regional board?
It's a maximum. Folks, I'm on. Give me my chance here, will you? Under the program, the Republican program, there will be a purchasing alliance. That in a state like Rhode Island, there'll probably be one. The governor determines it, and the purchasing alliances are run by the membership. They're not run by some regulatory board on the federal government or the state government. They're run by the members. What the purchasing alliance then says to the various presenters of plans, come forward and tell us how you're going to present that uniform benefit package.
And that's
what you're going to charge.
That's all.
And there's going to be very tough competition between these various groups.
That is exactly how the Clinton plan works.
No.
Senator.
Right.
My question to you is,
It's very different.
everyone agrees you have to control costs. The Clinton plan has cost control elements you say are bad.
That's right.
The Clinton plan has cost control elements that your plan also has. What does your plan have that the Clinton plan doesn't have to control costs? Anything?
We have unbridled competition in
It's
our
the
plans.
same-
No,
it's the same
you're not
thing.
going to get competition when you've got some federal board saying what the charges can
They
be.
can say the maximum.
No, well, the maximum
right.
suddenly
If
becomes.
competition is going to set the price, why set the maximum?
Yeah.
If competition sets a decent price, that's great. If it doesn't, there's a maximum. That's how it works.
That's a basic distrust.
You're asking
That's a
two
distrust
companies,
of
John.
competition.
You're
Let me just
simply
say one
saying,
other thing.
If I could just on that
All right.
point,
Okay.
you're simply saying, look, what can you give us for this amount of money? Use your imagination. Come up with as many different innovative approaches as possible, but for a set amount of money, what can you do for us? Now, if that doesn't encourage competition, I don't know what does.
Let me give you another illustration. Under our plan, the purchasing corporation, the purchasing alliance must accept plans that are submitted to it by the insurance companies, usually
That
Blue
sounds
Cross
like
or who. Now, hang on one
government
minute.
regulation,
No,
Senator.
they must accept it, and under their plan, the government controls who can make these presentations. Under our plan, if there's financial capability in the plan, then bring it forward.
No, all we're saying is that at the
So
state
thus
level,
there'll be the choice by
at the
the
state level,
let him
Michael, there
explain
has
how
to be
he's
some certification. You can't have insurance companies out there making claims
done now
that
at
they
the
can
state
do
level.
this.
It's done now at the state level by
but that's our
insurance
point.
commissioners.
That's our point. Let's continue that practice. Let's not just have them go out there and make an assertion that they can do something if they can't back it up. All we're asking is to come up with a plan that we can say is bona fide.
But what
We've
Senator
seen enough
Chafee's
smoke
plan
and mirrors
says,
in
if
insurance
they're a
plans.
certified, bona fide insurance company allowed to sell these plans in the state, they're an acceptable program. Why can't you
That's
accept
exactly what we're saying.
No,
We're not saying
no.
absolutely we are.
Let me just say this here, that I believe, as Tom Daschle has said, that when all is said and done, we're going to sit down, and I don't think either side has said, this is non-negotiable, it's got to be
This doesn't
our
sound like
way.
a very big difference, this one we've just been talking about.
Hang on, there are a lot of big differences. Let me give you another difference between them. Under our plan, under the Clinton plan, every company less than 5,000 employees must belong to the purchasing cooperative. We have no provision like that. If a company of 100 wants to go into some a purchasing cooperative of its own, 3 cheers
Michael,
that they've set up.
The difference is they're saying to every individual in this country, look, you're out on your own. You go out and do whatever you can, you're on your own. What we're saying is, isn't there some value to grouping together, to try to work together, to come up with as much leverage in dealing with insurance as possible? That's the difference. They mandate the individual. We say there ought to be a relationship between the employer and the
we're running out of
employee,
time.
as there has been for a long
Last
time.
question, Senator Chafee. There's a lot of demagoguery, in my view, about preserving people's right to choose their own doctor. Isn't the truth that any reform plan, Clinton's plan, your plan, even no reform at all, over the next few years, that more and more people are going to find themselves in HMOs and if they want to choose their own doctor, they're going to have to pay extra for it.
I think you're going to see that certainly under our plan, they'll have the ability to choose what is currently known as a fee-for-service. They can go out and choose their own doctor.
But they'll have to pay more for it.
They'll have to pay more for it, so the tendency unquestionably will have individuals go much more into managed care plans, because that's where the savings are going to be.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Chafee. Thank you, Senator Daschle. These guys have been much too agreeable. John and I will see what we can do in just a moment.
It's a dirty job, but when you gotta do it right with Easy Off Oven Cleaner. No oven cleaner works faster or better. They guarantee it. Easy Off Oven Cleaner gets the dirty work done. Guaranteed.
So frustrating. I don't know why we can't get the receptor to come down. Are you done with...
Most people think we make medicines. Actually, our job is to find them.
I'm going to lunch. You coming? No, I want to get this gel running. I'll see you down there then.
On the brink of discovery, Glaxo.
Yes, there it is.
While man has invented an instrument to measure virtually everything with great precision, the same can't be said for the performance of mutual funds. To that end, T. Rowe Price suggests a different way of thinking. It's an approach to investing that says you can achieve attractive returns without unacceptable risk. Perhaps that's why so many of our funds have earned Morningstar's best ratings. To learn more about risk-adjusted performance, call for this free booklet. While the perfect instrument to measure a fund's performance may never be found, it's nice to know that someone's come close. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
Our national debt, a number growing so fast that by the end of this message it will rise nearly $200,000. How much more can we afford to lose? One Nation Under Debt, Sunday 9 Eastern on CNN.
John, what's remarkable really is the similarity between this Republican plan and the Clinton plan. They both are basically versions of managed competition. They both impose strenuous new regulations on insurance companies. They both limit the tax deductibility in the long run of employer-paid health insurance and add tax deductibility for individual paid things.
But that's the whole
There's the
point,
makings
Mike.
of a deal here.
There's the makings of a deal, but I really do think the other two plans we talked about, the House Republican plan and the plan that the conservative Democrats, will be part of the debate, and I think you're going to see a compromise not between two approaches or two similar approaches, but one that has to take the whole gamut.
Let me say that the House
together.
Republican plan is a typical phony House Republican plan. I think the Senate plan has some good things in it. They're going to solve every problem under the sun for $17 billion.
Mike,
That's more
then
smoke and
look at the
mirrors.
conservative Democratic plan if you want to be partisan about it and understand that there are very different viewpoints out there that will be heard in the process.
Well, I'm sure that's true. From the left, I'm Mike Kinsley. Good night for Crossfire.
From the right, I'm John Sununu. Join us again tomorrow night for another edition of Crossfire.
And Prime News is next. Here's Dr. Bernard Shaw to tell us what he's prescribing for us. Bernie?
Thank you, Michael. Coming up on Prime News, after 23 years of hiding, one of the most sought-after women fugitives in the nation's history emerges. Unnecessary and a big waste of money. A new study questions the routine use of ultrasound screening on pregnant women. We'll have these stories and much more ahead on Prime News.